When did you start this exactly? When did you start this kind of consciously photographing your children as a project? And we'll talk a little bit more about the project as a
Um,
whole.
well, they are still sleeping. They are still sleeping in the apartment as we speak right now.
Oh, are they?
Uh,
Okay.
so they've grown up a bit, and I suppose as photographer, that's what we do, right? Like
Mm,
it's the language we know how to speak.
mhm.
By taking photos, by recording moments, by staging stuff if we need to, and um,
So
and
to
I
be
think
clear
that
to those who are seeing this photo for the first time, that's your daughter in the center of
that's
the
my
frame,
daughter,
and
who
to the
is
left
like
is your son. Yeah.
yeah, left to the sun. The
Mhm.
person on the bicycle is not related. uh,
Just to
so
clarify.
just to clarify, so um, this is an image I took of my children when we were going through Europe on a trip, on a family trip,
Mhm,
and and I think I really started recording my moments with my children very early on,
mm,
and I started with my daughter, who's 2 years older than my son, when she
mhm.
was 2 years old, when I took her on a solo father daughter trip, and then I recorded the moments. I wrote down my reactions, and in some way, the internet responded in a
Mm.
way that I've never expected. I mean, even when I was a um, extreme adventure photographer, never got
So are
that
you
kind of.
saying your kids got more attention than Everest and Ai Weiwei?
I think it's the cat video. It's the cat video phenomenon, right? Um,
Yeah. But I also
uh,
think it's about how obviously very, very personal this story was to you, and I think this is, something that's good, to relate to people watching this is that, photographing your family is something that we all pretty much all have access to, but you took
yeah,
it to another level as a professional photographer. You used it a as a way to spend more time with your kids, learn more about your kids, and savor those times with them. So you took it to a slightly different level, I think.
yeah. I mean, I took it to a new level in the sense that I took them on one-on-one trips. This
Mhm.
was obviously a family trip, so it's slightly different. But I think that really honed my way of recording the moments and
Mhm.
realizing that um, it's going to be really important for my children to look back in years to come.
Yeah.
But that hasn't come yet because they're still young. But for my audience and for the public at large, this is incredibly inspiring. To know that a father could bring a child very young
Mm.
out on a trip. And the purpose is not just to have fun. Obviously, fun and bonding is one of them. But what really happens is that communication that you have with your child, which you don't get so intimate in a daily family work life balance kind of situation.
Mm.
And I think that has been special. I've been doing annual trips with my both my children since my I also started my son when he was 2, and now they are 8 and 10, and I still do these solo trips with them. And this trip was special because it's actually, believe it or not, it's a commission project.
Oh,
So
really? Okay.
yes, it's a commercial
So you're
job. Like
combining work and family, work and pleasure. Fair
yeah,
play.
so I was approached by an insurance company
Mm.
to say we really love the stories you do with your children.
Mm.
Could you propose something? And I said, oh yeah, I could bring both of them in Europe, through
Mhm.
Europe, and then
Mm.
I'll record the moments and let's see what this can do. And then they say, sure, we love the idea. And so I brought my wife and my 2 children, and we traveled across Italy, France,
Mhm.
Germany, and this is actually taken in Arles, in in Arles, in southern France, in Provence, where
Okay. Okay.
one of the most important photo festivals take place every year.
Okay.
But
Sure.
this was actually taken outside the festival. Like this was outside.
Mm.
But we visited it nevertheless, and it was beautiful, and my children loved it. And the thing is, if I didn't take this picture, they will really forget it. Like they really forget
Yeah.
the moment. The
Mhm.
parents remember, which is great. But then what I do is I always compile all my trips with them in a book.
Mhm.
So they
Ah,
have about
nice.
20 books. They have 20 books in their shelf now, which
Mhm.
is just going to be their publications and their memories when this is all over.
Well, like back in the day when everybody used to have photo albums at home. If I go and visit
Yes.
my mum back in the UK, there are piles of photo albums. So it's that,
Yeah.
something so
Yeah.
beautiful about just, picking up that book of, just family snapshots. They have so much power. They don't need to be professional level
No.
photographs. And I
No.
encourage photographers now, if you've taken pictures, just print them out. Just take them to a Photoshop, print them out 6 by 4,
Mhm.
and just have them. Because
Yeah.
there's so much power in a photograph on paper. You can
Mhm.
show a picture to somebody on a digital screen, and we see so many images on digital screens now that people's eyes just glaze over and they go to the next image immediately. But if you give them the same picture
Mm.
printed on a piece of paper, it's like a
Yeah.
completely different effect sometimes. And
No.
like you said, it can just be family snapshots, but it's
Mm.
something about that physical quality that has that power, I feel.
Absolutely. I mean, photographs can easily last 30 years, right?
Mm,
Yesterday, I remember yesterday we were actually just in a museum and we were looking through some archival footage and we saw photos taken in China 100 years ago.
mhm,
And imagine that to be on a digital file. Can a digital file last 30 years? No
mm.
one can guarantee that, right?
No.
So just by printing it, making it physical, I think um, is a much better record for archival purposes.
Yeah, it just has there's just something special about it. So it's great
Yeah.
to hear that you print them out for your kids to, to look at, and I'm sure they'll, go back to them,
Uh,
in the future. But, in terms of the way that you photograph, this one, obviously, this has your style of a documentary photojournalist, photographer.
mhm,
If people look at this image and, you know, aspiring photographers, you've got everything there. You've got the light, you've got the composition, you got the moment. It's all the classic, things that you need in a great picture, which I love. It's just such a, and it's got that mystery as well. I
mhm,
love
mhm,
mystery in a photograph, where you have to stop and just look at a photograph and just try and just figure it out for a second. It just
mm.
makes you think. And that's, one of the reasons why I picked this picture. Is so
No,
nice.
I mean, now that you bring this picture to me, I know I took this, right? But I don't see it all the time. And now that I
Mm,
see it again, yeah, it's beautiful. And I think the great thing as a professional is that we turn it on when we need to.
yeah.
I don't like be this obsessed photographer 24/7, but then
Hmm.
I can when I want to. And I remember I was working with a simple camera, but it was really a matter of being there when those moments take place, and you want
Hmm.
it to be as natural as possible because they are my children. So even though it was a
Yeah.
commission project, my children had no idea this was commissioned because we were not followed by any of our clients. We were only by ourselves doing this trip.
Sure.
So yeah, so it was beautiful. And then that moment happens, and we don't know when that will come again.
Well, that's the beauty of those kind of images, isn't it? Those, as a photojournalist with strong photojournalism background, that's I kind of gravitate towards those images, which is why I chose that one.